this for strike three, and he does. The Mariners win it tonight, 6-5 over the San Diego Padres. They sweep the Padres in the two-game series, and the magic carpet ride just continues. The Mariners have now won 7 in a row. They have won 6 consecutive series as they sweep aside the Padres. And yes, indeed, the guys out there at second base doing their happy dance.
The Mariners with a day off again today. They welcome in the Baltimore Orioles Friday night to Seattle, and we'll be on the air at 6 o'clock with that game here on KONP.
Get ready for the automotive extravaganza of the year. The 6th annual Sequim Prairie Nights Car Show and Shine rolls into town August 12th. Washington Street will transform into classic car headquarters from 9 a.m. to 3, featuring a jaw-dropping array of hot rods, roadsters, trucks, and coupes that will leave you in awe. Step into a world of fine auto engineering as you get up close to these magnificent machines. Don't miss the chance to see Sequim's own Bonneville record-holding 100cc motorcycle, fresh from this year's speed record attempt right before your very eyes. But it's not just about the cars, it's about making a difference too. Your participation supports scholarships for Sequim and Port Angeles High School graduates in auto, construction, and computer trades, with students receiving $1,000 each to further their education. Mark your calendars and bring the whole family for this unforgettable free event. Learn more at SquimPrairieNights.com. Presented in part by KZQM and KONP.
Newsradio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Inflation pressures continue to ease. The government says consumer prices rose just 0.2% in July, 3.2% from a year ago. Grocery prices rose. Prices for used cars and airline tickets fell. Wall Street appears headed for a modestly higher close following a mixed reaction to the inflation report. Dow Industrial's up 146, the S&P is up 13, the Nasdaq up 48. Shares of GM and Ford falling sharply on worries about this year's contract talks with the United Auto Workers. Even if a strike is avoided, analysts say the cost of a new contract could run into the billions, impacting their bottom lines. Virgin Galactic has completed its first flight to the edge of space carrying private tourists. The flight caps nearly 2 decades of development. Virgin has a backlog of roughly 800 ticket holders waiting for their chance to take a ride. Larry Kofsky, Bloomberg Radio.
Let's get a check at the traffic this noon hour next. Brought to you by Olympic Medical Center and by Leeds Farm Supply.
Do you have a passion for healthcare? Olympic Medical Center can help you turn that passion into a rewarding career. OMC offers a variety of opportunities for people of all skill levels and backgrounds. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your career to the next level, OMC can help you achieve your goals. You'll receive the training, support, and guidance you need to succeed. Why not make your passion your profession? Learn more at olympicmedical.org/careers.
The premium compact powerhouse is here. The new MT225S from LS Tractor. 25 horsepower, 2-pedal hydrostatic transmission, and a highly featured operator platform. Now available with dealer-installed cab. All backed by the legendary LS Tractor warranty. Demo the new MT225S at your local dealer today.
Find the perfect LS tractor for you at Leeds Farm Supply in Sequim. Locally owned and operated, call Leeds at 360-452-1400.
LS Tractor, simply more.
Newsradio KONP, Traffic and Roads.
Back up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go. That is where Steve's standing by with a look at the noontime traffic for us this Thursday. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, we're doing pretty good out there, traveling around the Port Angeles area so far. Sequim as well. It is busy, but traffic is moving along relatively smoothly. Little slowdowns in places just because of congestion, but overall, we're doing pretty good out there. Now, we do have road work down on Marine Drive. Pay attention to your flaggers down there. Be very safe going through those areas. Keep them safe. They're working along at record speed just because people are giving them a little courtesy down there. So be careful as you make your way through. Same thing up on Ray Street, just south of Lordson Boulevard. We want to be careful up there as well. We do have a detour around that area, but slow her down to be safe. If you're on the highway between Port Angeles and Sequim, no real problems there. Things are moving along pretty smoothly with no issues. Definitely busy out there, though. And if you're headed out any further, Hood Canal Bridge has gone through a couple openings this morning, so traffic is starting to back up a little bit out there on 104. But overall, things are moving along fairly smoothly. It looks like state ferries are running on time today. And the reminder, and this is on everybody's minds, yes, they are going to have delays out there. The state is saying up to 90 minutes out on Diamond Point starting next week. And it all depends on how much traffic and all kinds of variables about how long you're going to be waiting out there. So just do your best to plan ahead if you need to head over to the Seattle area. West End traffic, we're doing good out there. Just the one construction area at the Elwha River there. Other than that, still a nice drive for you. Busy, but moving along at the speed limit. So everybody take care, be safe. This is Steve reporting live from Cloud Transit for KONP.
A better life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
We know the tried and true ways to reduce your risk of a heart attack. Healthy diet, plenty of exercise, lower your cholesterol, high blood pressure, don't smoke, limit how much alcohol you drink. But according to new research presented at the meeting of the European Society of Cardiology, building muscle strength, specifically having a higher level of leg muscle strength, appears to be strongly associated with a lower risk of developing heart failure after a heart attack. The researchers said their findings highlight the importance of regular exercise and maintaining muscle strength in older age. After having a heart attack, the American Heart Association recommends taking the medications as prescribed, going to all your follow-up appointments, participating in cardiac rehabilitation, and getting support from those you love. Connecting also with other heart attack survivors can be a big help. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
The Angie's List you know and trust is now Angie, and we're so much more than just a list. We still connect you with top local pros and show you ratings and reviews, but now we also let you compare upfront prices on hundreds of projects and book a service instantly. We can even handle the rest of your project from start to finish. So remember, Angie's List is now Angie, and we're here to get your job done right. Get started at Angie.com. That's ANGI, or download the app today.
Jim Gaffigan here with some more Straight Talk. Let's take a moment to appreciate our sweet children, loving grandparents, and eternal soulmates. Now let's use them to save money on wireless. Because with the Straight Talk Silver Plan, you get 4 lines for just $25 a month with unlimited data and no contracts. So add those human pawns, loved ones, and save money. Thanks, kids. They're finally worth it. Straight Talk Wireless, available at Walmart.
Get 4 lines on Silver Unlimited for $25 per line per month, plus taxes and fees. For data management practices and additional terms, visit straighttalk.com.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart, and this is One Moment in America. When I was a boy growing up in Texas, one of my dad's favorite questions was, son, if you call a dog's tail a leg, how many legs does he have? The answer? I'll give you that answer after this important message.
Hey, Kelly, answer me a question. What's the greatest nation in the world?
That's easy. America.
Would you ever leave America?
No way. I love America. Jerry, why all the questions?
Well, because I'm concerned. America is changing so much, so fast. There's too much crime and disrespect, and most of us are doing nothing.
But we do have so many good people in America, right?
Yes, we do. But so many are doing nothing to save America.
Then what do we do?
Well, we must act. If not, the children, our future leaders, may never see our American greatness.
And what can you do to help? You can help us. God has shown us a way, and we are determined to do our part. Go now to www.jerrystewartusa.com and see our Saving America website. It's a place full of great stories and a site for all ages.
Do you love America? Want to save America? Go to www.jerrystewartusa.com to help us. When I was a young boy and I came to my dad with something someone had told me, often he would ask me the question, son, if you call a dog's tail a leg, how many legs would he have? 5, right? No. Calling a tail a leg doesn't make it a leg. My point? 2 points. First, don't be so quick to believe something just because someone says it's so. Check it out for yourself. Second, be sure before you say something as fact that it is fact. There's way too much half-truths and downright lies flying around our country today. Please don't add to that list. Instead, be a truth teller. I'm Jerry Stewart, and that was One Moment in America.
For the Washington State News Network, I'm Frank Cooper. Vice President Kamala Harris will be heading to the Emerald City next week. Vice President Harris is expected to pay a trip to Seattle on Tuesday, where she will be delivering a speech on the Biden administration's actions to address the quote-unquote climate crisis. The White House says the event will take place at the Seattle area political funding reception. Her husband, Second Gentleman Douglas Emhoff, will be joining Vice President Harris at that event. Also in today's update, Spokane-based Roser's Supermarkets going to be paying employees over $350,000 in back wages. The Department of Labor announcing that the company willfully violated labor laws at 23 separate locations. Additionally, the grocer must pay $72,000 in penalties for violating child labor laws. And lastly, Washington is on a list of 24 states where Target customers will soon be able to add Starbucks to their drive-up orders. The retailer announcing it's beginning a nationwide rollout of the option for shoppers to add Starbucks food and drinks to be delivered straight to their car. It will be available at over 1,700 locations come early October. Now, while Washington is on the list, it is not yet known as to which locations will be offering the Starbucks option for delivery to their customers. For these and other stories, download our free mobile app or go to our website, WashingtonStateNews.net.
If you're a contractor, it's now easier for you to do business with the Department of Labor and Industries. Go to lni.wa.gov/skip the line and make an appointment with us ahead of time. No waiting around, no wasted time away from your job site. You get in, get out, and get on your way. Easy. So contractors, just go to lni.wa.gov/skip the line to make an appointment and get back to doing what you do best.
The possibility of lung cancer can be pretty scary, especially if you're one of approximately 8 million current or former smokers at high risk. That's why SaveByTheScan.org wants you to know that now there's a breakthrough low-dose CT scan that can detect lung cancer early, and it only takes 60 seconds. You stop smoking, now start screening. For an easy quiz to see if you're eligible, visit SaveByTheScan.org. It could save your life. SaveByTheScan.org is brought to you by the American Lung Association's Lung Force Initiative and the Ad Council.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. More Americans applied for unemployment last week. Correspondent Rita Foley has more.
21,000 more people applied for unemployment last week, but that's not worrying experts who say the labor market is still in good shape. Companies have pretty much been keeping their workers. One exception, though, is the flurry of layoffs in the tech sector. And while the manufacturing, warehousing, and retail industries have slowed their hiring in recent months, they aren't yet cutting jobs in large numbers. Overall, the number of Americans on unemployment for the week that ended July 29th was about 8,000 fewer than the previous week. I'm Rita Foley.
Inflation edged up in July after 12 straight months of declines. Overall consumer prices rose 3.2% from a year earlier. That was up from a 3% annual rise in June, which was the lowest rate in more than 2 years. Also at townhall.com, the search of the wildfire wreckage on the Hawaiian island of Maui is revealing a wasteland of burned-out homes and obliterated communities as firefighters battle a stubborn blaze that has already claimed 36 lives. That figure could rise. One U.S. senator says former President Trump deserves a change of venue for his election subversion trial.
Senator Tom Cotton says it's highly unlikely Trump can get a fair trial in Washington, D.C.
That's one of the reasons why Jack Smith, who is a rabid zealot, brought this case there.
Cotton says the judge appointed to the case has handed down tough sentences for January 6 protesters and likely considers this one the case of a lifetime.
And that she's been waiting for years to get a case like this where she can be the center of attention and give the former president what he deserves.
Senator Tom Cotton was interviewed on the Salem Radio Network. Bob Agnew reporting.
Stocks remain higher, the Dow up 192 points and the NASDAQ adding 36. More on these stories at townhall.com.
The recent bank failures are serving as a warning about how fragile our banking system really is. As millions of Americans panic, do you know what central banks are doing? Well, they're actually buying up gold at record levels. They're relying on it as a safe haven during these difficult times. That's how confident they are in the dollar. Hi, I'm Lance Wallnau, Christian author and evangelical leader to millions of people just like you. We're all Americans who want to protect our family's savings no matter what. I tell people the best option is to diversify their 401k or IRA into physical gold or silver with the help of Birch Gold Group. To see how it works, just text the word FAITH to the number 989898 to get a free information kit on gold IRAs. Look, there's no strings attached. It's not going to hurt you to take action now. So take the first step today and educate yourself. Get your free info kit when you text FAITH to 989898 right now. And I pray you and your family are greatly blessed.
California regulators expected to vote today whether to allow the expansion of 2 rival robo-taxi services that would operate around the clock in one city.
If approved by California's Public Utilities Commission, San Francisco will become the first major U.S. city with 2 fleets of the driverless vehicles. But San Francisco officials are opposed, saying that robo-taxi services Cruise and Waymo have been causing headaches in the city while testing their vehicles on a restricted basis during the past year. They say robo-taxis come to unexpected stops that have created roadblocks and drive into areas where traffic is prohibited. I'm Donna Warder.
U.S. safety regulators have sent a team to investigate a fatal crash in Virginia involving a Tesla suspected of running on a partially automated driving system. 35 Tesla crashes have been investigated by the NHTSA. Breaking news at townhall.com. Maine pro-life organizations are changing their strategy.
Groups opposed to Maine's new law expanding access to abortions won't attempt to nullify the new statute through a so-called people's veto referendum. Republican Representative Laurel Libby, leader of Speak Up for Life, said allies decided that the cost and effort of collecting signatures and running a campaign represented too big of a hurdle. Instead, Libby said the groups are intending to focus their efforts on electing legislative candidates who are pro-life. Keith Peters reporting.
Officials have broken ground in southeast Louisiana on a nearly $3 billion project to fight coastal wetland loss. It involves building massive gates in a section of levee in a rural area southeast of New Orleans and creating a channel to divert some of the Mississippi River's sediment-laden water into an area known as the Barataria Basin. More on these stories at townhall.com. I'm John Scott.
The dog days of summer are here, which means that it's fair time. Airport Garden Center will once again be in the Floral Building at this year's Clallam County Fair. County Nights and Carnival Lights will beam throughout our display, creating the perfect selfie station. We invite you to take one in our booth to be entered in our grand prize drawing. We're excited about the fair and hope to see you in the Floral Building August 17th through the 20th. Calling all mushroom lovers, join Airport Garden Center Saturday, August 26th for a mushroom kit workshop. Learn how easy it is to care for mushrooms with our mushroom grow kits. Imagine producing your own fresh mushrooms featuring Maddie's Mushrooms with help from Airport Garden. Kits will be available for purchase at the workshop. Varieties include blue oyster, lion's mane, shiitake, and chestnut mushrooms. Tickets are $10 each and seating is limited. So sign up now through our website, airportgarden.biz. See you August 26th for our Mushroom Grow Workshop.
This is the Newsradio KONP Noon Report.
Todd Ort live from the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Thursday, August 10th. Olympic National Park opening some of the trails that had been closed following a cougar attack on a child back on July 29th. But the Lake Angeles Heather Park Loop remains closed. Park officials say they have multiple game cameras now set up in the area of concern. Those are checked on a regular basis. Half of them transmit via cell technology, so biologists can check them anytime. The others have to be checked manually, and that is done every day. Dogs, which were used in the initial search following the attack, are going to be brought in if an uncollared adult cougar that is exhibiting unusual behavior, such as hanging out by a trail or showing no fear of humans, is spotted. The dogs can only follow the scent within about 6 hours of a cougar sighting, though. So far, there have been no sightings on any of the cameras, and cougars do have a large territory, so park officials say it's possible it has now left the area. Now, based on the lack of any cougar sightings in person or by those game cameras, staff have determined it was safe to reopen the Switchback Trail and Sunrise Ridge Trail, since they are the furthest away from where the cougar attack took place. There have been some concerns the park may find the wrong cougar. Their policy is that if any cougar is found, it has to display the behavior described earlier, that is, an uncollared adult that is exhibiting unusual behavior. And some have asked whether the aggressive cougar could be captured and released somewhere more remote, We're told that habituated animals will still exhibit the same behaviors in other areas of the park, and they often travel great distances. A lower Elwha Clallam tribal study showed one cougar that was seen at Shai Beach, the most westerly point of the park, circumnavigated the entire peninsula. So it's possible the cougar could just return to the same location after it's moved. The Clallam County Sheriff's Office is once again partnering with Othram, the forensic genome sequencing company, to help solve a cold case. In August of 2008, a person walking along the beach near the old Silver King Resort in Clallam Bay found a shoe containing a sock and what appeared to be human skeletal remains. Sheriff's detectives collected the evidence, and investigators confirmed the remains inside the shoe were part of a human foot. Days later, in a news release, investigators said the shoe was a size 11 Everest brand made for the right foot and a Levi's brand tube sock that was recovered. No other identifying information was found, and despite their efforts, the identity of the person still unknown. The case is eerily similar to another one when the sheriff's office, with the help of Othram, solved another cold case involving a human foot found inside a shoe, this one near the mouth of the Elwha River in 2021. Genetic sequencing proved that the remains were those of Sequim native Geraldine Smith, who was reported missing in 2018. Earlier this year, we spoke with Clallam County's Chief Criminal Deputy Amy Bundy about why the crowdfunding model was being used to help solve a case like these instead of traditional methods. Bundy said cold cases go on the back burner at the state crime lab, and those can take years to get any results.
Well, yeah, if you want to wait on the state crime lab for however many year backlog they are, that's not actually us getting answers or family members getting answers to the results of their loved ones that may have gone missing.
Othram offers to set up a crowdfunding page on its website to raise, in this case, $7,500, and they can get the job done in a matter of weeks, maybe months.
And so in order to save the taxpayers, this company, Othram Labs, does a crowdfunding to help support the costs. They do it for us. If this company is willing to crowdfund on behalf of this person's, family and whoever it is, on behalf of the sheriff's office for us to solve this, we embrace that support. It saves the taxpayers money.
In other news, Vice President Kamala Harris plans to visit Seattle Tuesday. She'll deliver a speech touting the Biden administration's actions on climate and headline a high-priced political fundraiser co-hosted by Microsoft President Brad Smith. Harris's visit will come just before the anniversary of Joe Biden's signing into law the Inflation Reduction Act, a landmark measure that made the largest federal investment in history, some $375 billion over a decade, to promote clean energy manufacturing and fight to climate change. A part of West 1st Street in Aberdeen will be closed for several days after a train derailed there earlier this week. The Aberdeen Police Department says no one was hurt. The derailment does not appear to be the result of anything criminal, but drivers should plan some alternate routes. There were 5 rail cars and 1 locomotive that derailed, according to the fire department. State Route 20, also known as the North Cascades Highway, reopened Wednesday morning after closing last week due to the sourdough fire that was burning nearby. The DOT closed a 36-mile stretch of the highway late Friday night due to safety concerns. And although the North Cascades Highway reopened again, WSDOT said the road is subject to closure again with little notice based on fire behavior or firefighting strategies. Traffic control is in place along the highway, and travelers may encounter firefighters or equipment working along the highway. The National Park Service said other roads, trails, and backcountry campsites in North Cascades National Park remain closed due to the sourdough fire. Feeling the pain at the pump? You're not alone. Washington State near the top again of the list of the most expensive average gas prices in the country. According to the AAA, the average price for a gallon of regular gas in Washington State bumped up to $5.01 yesterday. That's $1.18 more per gallon than the national average. Here in Clallam County, it's a penny less at $5 even on average. The only other state with a higher average gas price right now was California, and they were paying $5.08 for a gallon of regular as of yesterday. This is News Radio KONP.
Security Services Northwest is throwing the biggest thank you to our local first responders, and you're invited. It's the free Unity of Effort Community Picnic and Concert event this Saturday in Sequim. This special event honors our first responders, and we want you to join the celebration. The party kicks off at 10 a.m. with kids' activities and a barbecue provided by the Rotary Club of Sequim. At 4 p.m., enjoy a free community concert with local fave Buck Ellard, Seattle's Hairstorm, and country phenoms from Nashville, War Hippies. You'll even meet local responders, agents from the FBI, Washington State Fish and Wildlife personnel, and other special ops teams. Catch the police canine demos from Clallam and Kitsap counties. And don't miss the Navy F-18 Growler flyover. This Saturday, help us honor those who protect our way of life, our first responders, our heroes. It's a day full of fun at the free Unity of Effort Community Picnic and Concert featuring Buck Ellard, Hairstorm, and War Hippies. Proudly presented by Security Services Northwest.
Country nights and carnival lights. That's the theme of this year's Clallam County Fair. Last year it was bigger and better than ever, so we can't wait for you to see what fun we have in store for you this year. August 17th marks the start of the fair, and you'll have 4 full days to come out and enjoy all the sights, sounds, tastes, and adventure you can possibly handle. To find out more, go to ClallamCountyFair.net to see a list of performance dates and times, grandstand shows, activities, exhibitors, and more.
Hi, this is Clallam PUD. Did you know we have a program where you can help those less fortunate pay their electric bills? It's called our Neighborly Assistance Program. You can make a one-time or recurring contribution to a fund that assists qualified low-income residential customers. Find out more or print the enrollment card by visiting ClallamPUD.net and entering Neighborly Assistance into the search bar. Your community thanks you for your generosity.
Let's check the weather forecast now as we head through the rest of the day today. Partly sunny with your highs in the mid-60s to about 70. Partly cloudy tonight, upper 40s to mid-50s for the overnight lows. And then partly sunny tomorrow, becoming more sunny through the day. And by afternoon, we'll be into the mid-70s. Friday, partly cloudy Friday night, lows about 50. And then sunshine for Saturday, mid-70s. Sunday, sunny, mid-70s to low 80s. Sunny on Monday, mid-70s to low 80s. Sunny Tuesday, mid-70s. And then sunny and a high near 80 for Wednesday next week. As we look ahead, looks like going to be a stretch of some pretty nice warm weather for the Clallam County Fair coming up next weekend as well. Currently across the peninsula, we have some partly cloudy skies. It's 69 degrees in Port Townsend, 67 out west at Forks. Sequim now checking in at 68. Downtown Port Angeles, 60. And out at the airport, last check, it was 66.
The following is a paid advertisement.
This is Church Watch, brought to you by LutherCanon.com. So do you hear it? That strange sucking sound coming from Middle America, sucking people away from the coastal cities, both the left coast and on the other side, the wrong coast, fleeing tumult, chaos, and despair, and of course, the loss of livelihoods of all things. Now that's a reason to flee, that strange impulse that makes people want to succeed. Can you believe it? That's right. They still believe that God has given man certain inalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, rejecting the old radical line of what's mine is mine, and what's yours, well, that's negotiable. Kind of like the line I read somewhere in sordid history, from each according to his ability, to each according to his need. Now, where was that? Anyway, the U-Haul is fast becoming the status symbol of choice as parents gather up the kiddos and head central. Young man, head central. Coastal towns are depopulating and Midwestern states are booming. A classic case of national midriff bulge. But don't worry, it's all because of COVID, we are told. But what they don't tell you, it's also a case of blue meets red, and the colors just don't mix well. So where are you in all this, church? Red and yellow, black and white, they are precious in his sight. Okay, I got that. But what about the jackass and the elephant sitting in the pews? There won't be any jackasses and elephants in heaven. Only followers of Jesus Christ, godly people who know the difference between right and wrong, morality and immorality, justice and injustice. Are you telling them that? Or just widening the church door and beefing up the pews? For Church Watch, this is Gordon Haddad.
The preceding was a paid advertisement.
Save money and find everything the country needs during Farm and Ranch Days at Coastal.
Coastal Farm and Ranch, we're just what the country needs.
Coastal Farm and Ranch Days are going strong. Right now, save $100 on a Black Diamond 6,800-watt generator and 20% off all Balin wire-filled gates. You'll save big at Coastal, including motor oil and hitch mounts, pet food and toys, fencing, and DeWalt power tools. Plus, save up to $300 on Husqvarna riding mowers and up to $500 off their zero-turn models. Sign up to win a 2023 Honda Rancher ATV during the Coastal 60th anniversary celebration. Sponsored in part by Carhartt, Ariat, and Browning. Stop by or sign up to win at coastalcountry.com.
Coastal Farm and Ranch, we're just what the country needs.
Serving Clallam County from Bell Creek Plaza in Sequim.
Saving on your home improvement projects is almost as important as the service you should receive. With Angelus Millwork, Angelus Rentals, and Hartnagel Building Supply, you can always depend on superior customer service. But did you know that your favorite employee-owned stores have monthly product specials, coupons, and sales? Monthly specials on products that you need now are handpicked so you can save up to 30% when you need it the most. When headed to your mailbox, look for the Valpak envelope with special coupons from all our stores. Angelus Rentals, the only full-service tool rental company in Port Angeles, features a different tool each month that is 25% off. In closing, visit angelusmillwork.com for the latest sale information. We have annual sales on power tools, paint and stain, decking, wood pellets, and more. What we're trying to drive home is there's always a promotion going on, so come see us often or find out more online at angelusmillwork.com. Angelus Millwork and Hartnagel Building Supply. Building homes, building community since 1906.
We're the talk of the peninsula. News Radio KONP, Port Angeles Sequim, FM 101.7 and 101.3. A Radio Pacific station.
10 minutes in front of 1 o'clock now.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Just minutes to go ahead of the closing bell, and stocks are on track for very modest gains after a soft inflation report for July. Right now, the Dow, the Nasdaq, and the S&P all up just small fractions. Consumer prices rose 0.2% in July, a sign that inflation is in check. And that has a lot of investors hoping it'll push the Federal Reserve to not hike interest rates again when it meets next month. And strikes are not just worrying Hollywood. Shares of General Motors right now down about 6%. Shares of Ford down 5%. That's on growing worries that the United Auto Workers Union could strike against Detroit's big three automakers, or at least force them to pay union workers so much more that it'll impact their bottom lines. That, as talks for a new contract agreement are just starting this month. And singer Rihanna, who saw blowout success with her Savage by Fenty lingerie and makeup brands, now launching a maternity clothing line as well. Tom Busby, Bloomberg Radio.
Let's get a check on the traffic one last time this noon hour. Next, brought to you by Angelus Furniture and by McCrory Carpet One.
At Angelus Furniture, they know that price is important, but after your buy, service after the sale, that's an Angelus Furniture specialty.
Where we try to differentiate ourselves is through service, taking care of people. We go outside of warranties. We go the extra mile because we think that's a thing that establishes loyalty and people trust us, so they'll come back.
You can still find true customer service at Angelus Furniture, East 1st Street, Port Angeles.
McCrory Carpet One knows how important choosing the right pad can be for your new carpet, which is why right now and for a very limited time, when you buy in-stock carpet, you'll get the pad for free. All in-stock carpet is on sale, starting at just $1.29 a square foot, and comes with free pad. But hurry, because the last time carpet flew this fast was when Aladdin and Jasmine were headed for a whole new world. Don't miss this sale going on now, only at McCrory Carpet One.
News Radio KONP, traffic and roads.
After Clallam Transit Dispatch Center we go now. That is where Steve's standing by with one last look at our noontime traffic for us on a Thursday. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Yeah, busy out there. A lot of traffic making its way through town, both Port Angeles and Sequim. Just steady traffic all the way around. A lot of slow spots, especially around the stoplights and some of the more congested areas. So just be aware of that as you're making your way about. We do have our construction areas going on in Port Angeles. Down on Marine Drive, we got flaggers and narrowed lanes down there. Just be careful as you're making your way through. Keep everybody safe in that area. Give them a chance to get their work done. And things will go much, much smoother down there. Also, Ray Street, just south of Lordson Boulevard, they have the construction continuing there with detours in place. So just be aware of that. If you're on the highway between Port Angeles and Sequim, it is definitely busy out there, but moving along at the speed limit. So far, no issues out there. Any further past Sequim, Canal Bridge currently is open for vehicle traffic, so we're in good shape that way. Also, State Ferry's running on time. Yes, and they are going to have the construction out there around the Diamond Point area. That is going to cause slowdowns next week. The state is saying up to 90 minutes traveling through that area, and it all depends on time of day and traffic. So just definitely want to plan ahead. Give yourself plenty of time if you need to make it over to Seattle or beyond that area there, and be safe in that area as they get things shut down and start doing their work out that way. If you're headed out to the Forks area, no problems out there right now. It is busy, but traffic is moving at the speed limit with just the one construction there at the bottom of the Owa Hill. So everybody take care. Enjoy your afternoon. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Thanks, Steve. 4.5 tons. That's the estimated weight of Cadillac's latest electric vehicle, the Escalade IQ. ABC's Mike Dubusky explains it's not the only EV that might be needing to hit the gym.
Cadillac's new electric truck uses the same EV architecture as GMC's Hummer EV, which tips the scales at more than 9,000 pounds. BMW, Mercedes, and Rivian offer EVs that can weigh more than 3 tons. EV Pulse editor-in-chief Chad Kirshner says all that weight comes in pursuit of range.
As we build long-range EVs, the only way that we can do that now effectively is to put them in big vehicles that weigh nearly 5 tons.
Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
Next hour on the Todd Ortloff Show, we're going to talk a bit about public health. We'll get into some of the issues surrounding Clallam County's public health with the public health officer, Dr. Allison Berry, and a couple of county commissioners joining us next hour.
I've never been a believer in the likes of John Edward, Edgar Cayce, or any so-called psychics. But if you believe, it's time to reevaluate. I'm Kim Commando, brought to you by T-Mobile. Their advanced network now goes farther than ever before. Visit T-Mobile.com/55 today. Even the world's best so-called psychics never saw this coming. The future of all clairvoyance, the world that they're supposed to know quite well, has suddenly turned very bleak. Like so many other jobs, artificial intelligence, AI, is sending psychics right to the unemployment line. Millions of psychic believers have turned to AI-powered websites and bots. Instead of driving across town and paying a psychic for a reading or running up credit cards for expensive phone chats, an online bot uses algorithms and machine learning to work out what it concludes will lie ahead. The most popular is AI tarot card readings, which is why you may need to reevaluate any beliefs you have in psychics. If they couldn't see their own demise coming, how could they see yours? Get more tech smarts every single day with my free newsletter. You can get it now at getkim.com. Hey friends, if you're 55 and up and you've been looking for a wireless plan that's custom made to fit your life, look no further than T-Mobile. With their exclusive 55 plus rate plan, you save 50% versus both AT&T and Verizon's unlimited plans. Get 2 lines for $27.50 a line with AutoPay, an eligible payment method. And you'll know that T-Mobile won't raise your rate for talk, text, or data ever, thanks to T-Mobile's Price Lock Guarantee. So what are you waiting for? Get 2 lines of unlimited on T-Mobile's network for $27.50 a line with AutoPay, with Price Lock included. Go to T-Mobile.com/55 or call 1-800-T-Mobile to switch today.
Price lock exclusions like taxes and fees apply. Qualifying service required. 2 lines for $27.50 per line plus taxes and fees. $5 more per line without autopay. Debit or bank account required. Customers on this plan may notice speeds lower than other customers and further reduction if using over 50 gigs a month due to data prioritization. Video typically streams in SD. See T-Mobile.com for details.
For what it's worth, I'm Derek Dennis. Oscar-winning actress Halle Berry, not just talking about menopause, but embracing it.
I'm my best self now that I reached 56 years old. I have the most to offer.
Speaking to Women's Health about where her life is going.
I am challenging everything I thought I knew about menopause, like Your life is over. You are disposable. Society no longer has a place for you. You should retire. You should pack it up. I'm challenging all of those stereotypes.
Dr. Nita Landry saying it's essential to make having conversations about what can be a sensitive topic normal.
As we start to have these very important conversations, it allows us to demystify it. We're able to communicate about what we're experiencing so women don't feel as alone. When you're having those conversations, you can really start to empower yourself through education.
And Barry urging all women,
take your time and figure yourself out. You don't have to be rushed. You don't have to be forced. It's not a race.
For what it's worth, I'm Derek Dennis, ABC News.
If you're hiring, it can feel like you're trying to find a needle in a haystack. You can hope the right person comes along, or you can just use ZipRecruiter. And now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. In fact, ZipRecruiter has helped a lot of business owners find their needle in a haystack, like Marco, president of operations at Telly Tires and Auto Centers. Because Telly Tires has grown a lot in the last few years, Marco needed to hire everyone from a receptionist to a store manager to a head mechanic.
ZipRecruiter helps me find all the right people, even the most difficult jobs to fill. ZipRecruiter helps me keep my business running.
Take it from Marco and millions of other businesses who've used ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter can help you find the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/FREE. ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Looking for a career that can take you to new heights? Look no further than Olympic Medical Center. OMC offers a wide range of career opportunities to help you grow and advance in your chosen field. At Olympic Medical Center, you can explore new areas of healthcare, gain valuable experience, and take advantage of ongoing training and education. Why wait? Take the first step towards an exciting new career with OMC today. Discover your next steps at olympicmedical.org/discover.
Olympic National Park is proud to present a closing reception for Terminus, a glacier memorial project, from 6 to 8 p.m. on August 25th at the Peninsula College Pirate Union Building. This event caps off the Terminus exhibit at the Port Angeles Fine Arts Center, an extraordinary exhibit of artwork that memorializes the glaciers in Olympic National Park. Enjoy a dance in honor of the Elwha Snowfinger and keynote remarks from writer and former Washington State Poet Laureate Rena Priest. For more information, visit nps.gov/olym/terminus.htm.
The North Peninsula's news. The North Peninsula's talk. Newsradio KONP, Port Angeles.
From
Square.
ABC News,
Pacific Station.
I'm Dave Packer. As wildfires burn, help for Hawaii. President Biden.
We have just approved a major disaster declaration for Hawaii, which will get aid into the hands of the people desperately needing help now. They've lost, anyone who's lost a loved one whose home has been damaged or destroyed is going to get help immediately.
The death toll rising to 36, expected to go higher.
If there's any good news, it's in areas of Maui. Saw passing rain showers this morning. The ground rather wet and actually bright rainbows above. That should help put out the flames, but the damage was done earlier this week. Those who died were mostly killed 2 days ago when flames went racing through areas like Lahaina. It is now, as crews are able to get in, that bodies are being found and the damage really understood.
ABC's Alex Stone. Inflation rising month to month for the first time in a year, up 3.2% in July. Floridian Mark Dye says he's altered his spending habits the past several months in the wake of changing prices.
There are some things that we kind of stop buying or slow down on buying. Certain foods, especially junk foods.
Home costs and gas, big part of the price increase picture. A rare move from Iran as 5 Americans have been put under house arrest, will eventually be freed. 4 of them, who were Iranian-American, were freed from the maximum security Evin prison. ABC News Chief Global Affairs Correspondent Martha Raddatz.
3 of those prisoners have been named in the past. The 4th wanted to remain anonymous. They are all Iranian-Americans, but have been in that horrendous prison all this time.
The move in exchange for Iranian assets totaling $6 billion that were being frozen by the U.S. Another indictment for former President Trump today. This one connected to the superseding indictment over his handling of classified materials. And the special prosecutor says a trial for Trump connected to January 6th could start by next January. You're listening to ABC News.
Have you Googled yourself lately? Are there negative posts from an ex-employee or from a former client?
maybe an outdated news article, or sensitive personal information about your family. Search engines don't always get it right. For right or wrong, it's your reputation on the line. That's where Reputation Defender by Norton comes in. One of the most trusted names in online reputation repair, Reputation Defender has been fixing people's search results for over 15 years. Their cutting-edge approaches help you to wipe away unwanted information in your search results. They also promote the good stuff so that it rises to the top, helping you put your best foot forward. Your good name is too valuable to leave to the whims of a Google algorithm. Take control with Reputation Defender. You can start by getting your free reputation report card at reputationdefender.com or call 800-401-6681 to speak to an expert. That's 800-401-6681.
Police in New York say they do not believe the man they arrested is the prisoner who escaped from a fifth-floor hospital window Wednesday. Police say corrections officers thought 44-year-old Yenchun Chen was showering when he climbed down from his room on a rope made from towels and other linens. Chen had been arrested for criminal possession of a controlled substance and was being treated for a heart problem. Because of double strikes in Hollywood, no Emmys this year.
The 75th Annual Emmy Awards were set to take place September 18th, but with that date about a month away and writers and actors still on strike, the TV Academy and this year's broadcast network, Fox, were going to have to pick a new date, and they have. January 15th of next year, which is also the Martin Luther King Jr. holiday. That'll be the day after the Critics' Choice Awards, and although the show is delayed, the voting timetable stays the same. Ballots are due August 28th. So Hollywood will be waiting 4.5 months to get the results. Jason Nathanson, ABC News, Hollywood.
The guild representing screenwriters says it will resume negotiations with major studios and streaming services Friday. Target is recalling 2.2 million candles. The Consumer Product Safety Commission warns threshold braided glass jar scented candles can break during use, risking burns and cuts. Target's received 19 reports of the jars breaking during use. Consumers with recalled candles are advised to stop using them and return them for a full refund. This is ABC News.
You don't have to live in Britain to get what the New York Times calls the best of British telly. Stream the UK's most brilliant series only on BritBox. Unlock acclaimed favourites including Vera and Stonehouse, starring Succession's Matthew McFadden. Plus, don't miss upcoming original dramas like Archie, the story of Hollywood's greatest leading man, Cary Grant. Lose yourself in Britain's best entertainment, only on BritBox. Start a free trial at BritBox.com.
Dave Packer, ABC News.
Don't miss country music duo War Hippies, direct from Nashville, performing live August 12th in Sequim as they headline the Unity of Effort Community Concert. Join us in honoring our first responders during the Unity of Effort celebration event and picnic. It'll be a day of family fun. You'll enjoy smash burgers, hot dogs, and chili from the Noon Rotary Club, plus tons of kids' activities and live music, featuring artists like Buck Ellard and War Hippies, bringing their throwback country feels straight from Nashville to honor our heroes. Formed by combat veterans Scooter Brown and Donnie Reese, War Hippies' genuine songwriting and stellar live performance will inspire and make you get on your feet. War Hippies have shared the stage with country legends like Charlie Daniels, Travis Tritt, and Randy Travis. Don't miss War Hippies, live at the free Unity of Effort celebration, Saturday, August 12th in Sequim, presented by Security Services Northwest.
KONP News brought to you by RE/MAX Evergreen Real Estate. Outstanding agents, outstanding results, 457-6600. Olympic National Park officials say they have game cameras set up to look in areas of concern for the cougar that may have attacked a child back on July 29th. Half the cameras transmitting via cell technology, the other half being checked manually daily. And so far, there have been no sightings on any of the cameras. And because of that, ONP officials reopened some of the trails that had been closed following the attack July 29th. But the Lake Angeles and Heather Park Loop remain closed.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast. Daytime highs approaching 68 this afternoon. Under partly cloudy skies, winds out of the northwest, 8 to 15 miles per hour. Lows level off around 54 tonight. A blend of clouds and sun tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 68. Sunshine mixed with clouds at times. Saturday with highs around 70. 75 Sunday. I'm weatherology meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently, it's 66 degrees.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
All right, welcome to the show. First part of the program today, we're going to get into public health locally in Clallam County. My pleasure to have in the studio today Dr. Allison Berry. She is the public health officer, and Allison's a long time since we've chatted.
Yes.
You remarked that it's probably a good thing, because usually when we're chatting a lot, there's some serious things happening, and that's I welcome that. But good to have you back. Welcome to the studio. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
And along with her is Clallam County Commissioner Mike French joining us in the studio too. Mike, good to see you as well. Thanks for coming in, and we'll get some of your perspective on some of this, because the county commission certainly is part of Allison's bosses, so to speak,
Sure,
as
absolutely.
the Board of Health as well. So with that said, first of all, I guess I'm going to just kind of a 30,000-foot look at things in public health, since the pandemic changed a lot of what we maybe viewed in public health and funding and all of that as well. Mm-hmm. From your perspective, how are things different in the year 2023 than perhaps they might have been in 2019?
Sure. I think there is greater public awareness of what public health is, that we exist, and that we're doing this kind of work. And there certainly has been some increase in funding, though I think probably not as much as we need to do the job. But I think this year is really a year where we rebuild. We had to take all of our staff, all of our funding, and move it towards COVID. And now we're starting to come back to our normal programs, working on maternal child health, working on general vaccination, working on suicide prevention. Things that unfortunately we had to shelve for the last few years that are still really critical issues that need attention.
And you as a public health officer, I think that's probably concerning, not to put words in your mouth, that those things, that's just as big as responding to a pandemic or an epidemic for that matter, right?
Yeah, one of our kind of base functions in public health is communicable disease control, so it's understandable that COVID kind of sucked all the oxygen out of the room for a little while. But yeah, we know that some things got worse during the pandemic, partly because we weren't working on them with our full staff. We know, and because of the systems were broken down too. So we know that pediatric immunizations generally went down over the pandemic. Kids are behind on their normal vaccines. And so one of the initiatives we're working on right now is getting kids caught up and bringing more resources to schools to facilitate access. Because of course we know there's been some pushback against vaccination, but in our community, the biggest barrier to families getting their kids vaccinated is usually just access.
Yeah, and that was the case well before. I know we've
sure.
even chatted about that even well before we even talked about what a COVID epidemic was.
Access to primary care is a huge challenge, and if you're a working family, trying to get all of your kids into a visit is a big challenge. So we want to try to make it a little easier on families going forward.
That said, not to get too far from this, you're a real doctor as well. I hate to say it that way, but anyway, where you
I'm
do
a regular family
practice
doctor,
family medicine, right? But that is a big issue. How do you see what you do in public health, integrating with some of the issue of access to health?
For sure, and I think that's one of our big challenges in public health right now, is how do we interact with the healthcare system, and how do we push for changes where they're needed to get critical needs met for our communities? Because one of our jobs is to look at all those numbers and figure out, how long does it take to see your PCP? What are the health outcomes related to the challenges getting in there? And how can we move policy and encourage investment to change those outcomes?
Yeah, interesting. So you can really put that couched into a public health discussion, because
Absolutely.
If people can't get to a doctor, eventually it's going to affect generally the public.
Absolutely.
Right. Okay, let's talk about funding and models of things, and then I want to talk about some of the specific stuff. There was a lot of discussion during the pandemic about regionalization of health districts and all of that. Where does that all stand now? Are we still just kind of standing independent out here on the peninsula as our own kind of thing? You do operate for both Clallam and Jefferson counties in your capacity, but
We do still have independent authority at the county level, which I do think is good because health issues here are very different than they are in, say, King County. And we don't want to see health policy driven by one part of the state where things are really quite different. That said, we do work together as a region, specifically across Jefferson and Clallam. Our staff know each other well. We share resources as often as we can. And I think that serves both counties well.
Now, some of the talk was trying to incorporate into Kitsap County and Mason County for all of that as well. And we had all these weird discussions about things. And really kind of came down to, and this is where Mike might be able to jump in from the funding aspect, but that was what was driving a lot of that, was how the state was going to better or differently fund public public health at the state level, at least.
And
how does it look right now? I mean, what is that? Has that changed?
We are certainly getting some more funding from the state for what's called foundational public health services. It's kind of the basic public health needs of a community that weren't adequately funded before, and that is certainly helping. I'd say it's still not quite where we need to be to meet all the needs of our community, but it's a big help. And I think one of the biggest places it's helping is helping us hire enough staff to do the work.
Right. Give us an example of some of the staff you've needed and you've been able to bring on, or you're trying to bring on.
Sure. When we started this, we didn't have an epidemiologist outside of me. So most health jurisdictions have someone who crunches all those numbers, figures out how many suicides, things like that. And that used to just be me, in addition to everything else that I was doing. And so now having someone who can really sit with that data so we can really understand the status of the health in our community, that's a new person to our department. Having enough nurses to investigate the diseases that come our way. We're hiring a new nurse. We started the pandemic with 1.5 nurses and a me, and that was your whole medical team for the health department, and that's not enough to do what we need to do. So hiring some more nurses so that if we get a new case of measles or HIV, we can actually call them and do the work to make sure it doesn't spread beyond them.
Right. We certainly learned all about contact tracing. We learned different definitions of things that you already knew about back in your world, but those don't necessarily go away. I think the capacity of it, the COVID thing was such a unique experience for everything, but there's still, tracking down a measles outbreak, for example.
Yeah, there's other diseases we take care of. We had a tuberculosis outbreak within our borders during COVID, and we had to work on that. Every time we get a new, people often think tuberculosis is gone, but it's not. But we work really hard to make it gone and make sure that it doesn't spread when it does show up.
That said, compare COVID tracing with tuberculosis tracing. Maybe a bit easier in some ways or more difficult. I'm not sure.
Tuberculosis is in some ways much easier in that it doesn't spread as quickly. With COVID, if you sat with me in this room as we are and you had COVID, my probability of getting it is high. Tuberculosis is different. You have to be exposed to someone for about 8 hours before you could pick up TB.
Which then makes it a little easier to try to find folks that you may have been around with for 8 hours.
Absolutely. Though, because tuberculosis is hard to diagnose, often we're meeting people after they've been contagious for like a year.
That long, really?
Yes. And so we're tracing back everywhere they've been in the last year that met that 8-hour threshold.
That's it. Wow. Okay. I learned something new every day. Very good. Funding-wise, Mike, I want to get your take on this. This is you're the new guy on the commission, but I'm sure you're well aware that public health funding has always been kind of the lowest funded department, if you will, for per capita what it does.
Yes.
And talk a bit about that, would you?
And so that's where we're really excited about the foundational public health funding that the state is bringing on board so that we can build that resource. And then the other thing I wanted to add about, that regionalization effort, we do have a regional public health officer. I can't remember their name.
Herbie Duber.
There you go. And one thing I think that was discovered during that whole process was how much we had in common with some of the other rural Western Washington counties, especially more so than Mason or Kitsap, like Grace Harbor County. And that's something where, again, it's the interface between public health and, what we colloquially would call just the health system, is how important our rural hospitals are, and to make sure that we're doing the advocacy necessary to make sure that they're solvent. Because as we see, it's a system that all works together when people can't get that access they need. And when those rural hospitals have these really dire funding challenges, we need to make sure our state legislators are involved in that it's not just the public health side that's getting the appropriate funding, but also the medical side.
Good point. Yep.
Well, and I think looking at our similarities across the far west, Grace Harbor is really quite similar to here. We faced really similar social challenges too. So the upstream of the health system, how could we make you healthier before you even have to see a doctor so that you don't have to see them as often? And places like Clallam County, places like Grace Harbor have very high rates of poverty, very high rates of adverse childhood experiences, food insecurity. And those are places where we, not only as the public health system, but the political system generally, need to do a better job to the extent that we can at meeting those needs up front, so you never need the health system down the road.
Very interesting. What did you learn coming out of this pandemic, just kind of personally as the person in charge of the health department, if you will, and the health officer, as what was broken, what could be fixed, what needed, more specifically just about Clallam County's health department? it got broken. I mean, and it wasn't anybody's fault. It was just a societal thing that broke everybody's health department for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say we got broken, but I would say we were teeny tiny going in. And then the amount that we were asked to do was just beyond anyone's capacity. Yeah. And I think everyone who worked with us then and who works with us now really did everything they could to step up. And that means that, me and my staff, we were working 80, 100-hour work weeks. We weren't sleeping because people were so dedicated to this work. But you can't do that for 3 years. Right. And so one thing I hope we learn as a system is to have a little bit more give in the system, have a bit of a bench of folks you could actually call upon, rather than right now, and this is true in the health system too, we work at our very max capacity. We staff just enough to get things done, which means if someone's ill or if there's a surge in illness, there's no backup for you.
Right.
And we could do better there.
And then also from an organizational perspective, we have these people that are doing these, foundational public health services. They also need administrative support. And so that's something from us, from our side as the organization, making sure that we're giving them enough support so that, all the HR work can get done, all the payroll
you
can
can
get
actually
paid.
hire somebody.
Yeah. So exactly. I mean, as we laugh a little bit, but that's a real challenge of, we had HR departments, I would say in many different organizations, but Clallam County as well, saying, it's hard for us to do the salary surveys that we need to get done so that we can make the job descriptions. It's all part of the big system, and all of the system was taxed.
Is it tough? It's been tough to hire everywhere, but as you try to fill positions at public health?
Yeah, no, it's super hard. We are faced by the shortage of healthcare professionals generally. And, in public health, we can never pay as much as like the hospital can. So recruiting a nurse to public health to say, hey, you're going to have to work incredibly hard and not make as much money as you could if you work for the hospital is not a good sell. But what we do say is you can make an incredible difference in your community. And if you really want to do that kind of work, we've got a spot for you. And so we have had people step up. And we also do a lot of training of our staff. So our current epidemiologist came to us as a contact tracer and then did her epidemiology degree while she was with us, and now is an epidemiologist. And so I think, especially when we look at rural communities, we have to be thoughtful about training the folks who are already here, who are already dedicated to this community, and helping them get access to what they need to fill those positions rather than recruiting folks from out of town.
All right. We need to take a break. We'll come back. We're going to talk. I'm going to get into the Harm Reduction Center. There's been a lot of talk about that, what it is, what it isn't, and maybe a few other things related to that and the health department here in Clallam County. The health officer, Dr. Allison Berry, my guest, and Clallam County Commissioner Mike French, my guest as well. And we'll talk a bit more with both of them right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP.
Hey Squim, the wait is over, and our brand new Sportsman's Warehouse store is now open. Sportsman's Warehouse is your headquarters for all things hunting, shooting, fishing, camping, hiking, and outdoor sports. Whether you're a seasoned expert or just getting started, you'll find a huge selection of the famous brands you trust at prices you'll love. We're off Washington Street next to Home Depot, so get in and gear up for unforgettable at Sportsman's Warehouse.
Hello, this is Amanda Huff with Swim Valley and Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapels. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a new, exciting, and environmentally friendly development in the funeral industry. It's called Natural Organic Reduction, or simply Terramation. Perhaps you've heard of it. Terramation is a process in which the body, after death, is returned to the earth in a carbon-neutral, eco-friendly manner. The process takes place in a controlled environment, and all that remains is a natural, odorless, compost-like material. If you'd like more information about Terramation and advanced planning, call us today at Harper Ridgeview in Port Angeles or Squim Valley Chapel in Squim, and one of our knowledgeable and caring funeral professionals will assist you in answering your questions. Harper Ridgeview and Squim Valley Funeral Chapels, because your loved ones deserve the best.
Stick out your tongue and say, ah, it's the craziest thing you ever saw. Here at Olympic Game Farm, they say howdy with a wave of a paw. Now it's hard to steer clear of the elk and the deer when they pop in to say hello. They've got lions and tigers and bears. Don't forget about the buffalo. It's impossible to stay calm. So come out with your dad and your mom. Canine and feline, you'll find us online at onlygamefarm.com.
It's time for your Port of PA Today.
Hi folks, this is John Picker again, the airport manager at Fairchild International Airport. I'm excited to share with you that our summer airport improvements and upgrades are moving along as scheduled. We haven't seen this kind of upgrade for over 20 years, so it's exciting to see that the work being accomplished this summer will endure for years to come. The upgrades include resurfacing of the main runway, upgrades to lighting, and making some improvements to some of the nav aids. This project should be completed in early October. The impact to you this summer has been minimal. You may notice continued heavy work truck traffic around the airport and a slight reduction in flights. FedEx, UPS, and Life Flight have all been operating as usual during construction. Also, I'd like to point out this project is being completed by local companies using local workers and that the majority of the costs will be covered by the FAA, WSDOT, and the Port of Port Angeles. I'll keep you updated on our airport Facebook page.
All right, back with another segment as we talk with Dr. Allison Berry. She's the health officer for Clallam and Jefferson counties, and Mike French, Clallam County Commissioner. We are talking, about public health just a bit. I want to get into one of the, I guess, more controversial, if you will, subjects that have come up, and that has to do with this proposed harm reduction center, which is going in the downtown area, essentially. First of all, explain to us what this is.
Sure.
And then we'll get into kind of what people may or may not expect by this happening.
Yeah, I think that's probably one of the biggest sources of concern and confusion is this unknown. So the Harm Reduction Health Center is really just moving a location. It's services we already offer currently out of the health department. But as we talked about being so tiny, we've been offering all of our substance use disorder related services out of our conference room, which is really not ideal. If we're going to give you hepatitis C testing and give you your results, doing that in a conference room with everyone else around is really just not the way you want to do it. And so we knew we needed a little more space to do that work. And so that's why we're moving into the downtown space.
And this is basically kind of behind the country area. Tell me where this is proposed.
It's the former CrossFit gym
there you go. Right.
behind Country Air.
Got
We've
it.
not built it yet. There was some news reporting that we were already in operation, but that's not true. We're staffing. We're hiring for it right now, and we plan to open sometime this fall.
There, and I know that you talked with the county commissioners recently in a work session about this as well, and there were some questions that came up about how do we, metrics and how do we make sure we're good neighbors and all of that sort of thing. So address that a bit, if you will.
Yeah, I think one of the first things that I think is so critical to talk about is what harm reduction is and what it isn't. I think that's where a lot of concern comes from. People think that if you're doing harm reduction services, that means you're saying it's okay to use drugs, or we want you to use drugs, and the opposite is true. We want people to use less drugs and stop if they can. And we know that people are 3 times as likely to get sober if they engage with our services than if they don't. And so that's one of the big reasons why we do this, is to help people move on that trajectory towards sobriety. And then as they move on that trajectory, that they don't get HIV and they don't get syphilis, and they don't get hepatitis C, and they don't die. So what we do is we help people get access to clean syringes, to safer smoking supplies. We help them get access to testing for infectious diseases. And we help them get access to naloxone. And every time they come in, we talk to them about whether or not they're ready to get sober. And often, over the course of building that relationship, at some point they say yes. And now we have a substance use disorder treatment counselor with us. And so he can do an assessment right there and help them get over to treatment. There's a lot of stigma around drug use, and there's a lot of fear among people who use drugs. So accessing the traditional clinic system can be really, really intimidating. Having that transition from someone you trust and who can help you get there, who can get you a ride, get you a sandwich on the way, can really make all the difference to help people make that important step in their recovery. And that's really what we're trying to do.
From your perspective, how will moving to this location, assist in that? I mean, you mentioned not doing it out of a conference room, for example, but are you going to be able to, you're staffing up, are you going to be able to do more outreach, perhaps?
Yeah, so we are hoping to have a little more elbow room to do our work. And partly, we want to bring everyone inside. Right now, in our current space, folks end up getting kind of backing up into the parking lot, which is challenging. And so part of being good neighbors is having enough space to have people move indoors so that our services all stay indoors. And I think part-time, I work with Jamestown at their healing clinic. And there was a lot of fear before the healing clinic was built. And then a lot of reassurance after it existed, because they have worked so hard to be good neighbors, be thoughtful about their clients' behavior, have rules and boundaries for clients who are coming in, and we plan to do the same here. The other big thing that we are doing is we're starting a mobile services, so bringing a van to other parts of the county. Right now, our services are always in PA, and then twice a month they're in Forks. But we know that's not serving the whole county. There are lots of folks with substance use disorder in Squim or out in Clallam Bay who need access to services, and we want to try to bring those closer to home.
Injection sites.
Yes.
Is this going to happen? And explain, when does that line get crossed? Because some counties, that's what they do. That's part of their harm reduction, right?
That, I think, is probably the biggest thing that I've heard is people say, I hear you're opening a safe injection site. And I want to say we are not. I have no intention of doing that. There is no plan for this space to be a safe injection site. What we do want it to be is a space where people can come and get access to the resources they need. So we can help them access housing, help them get on food stamps, help them turn their life around. But we don't plan on having a safe injection site really anytime. There are some communities that are experimenting with that. The main thing that really drives that decision making for us is that we really try to do evidence-based practices, and there's not really an evidence base yet around injection sites. And so I want to say, just to be super clear, there is no plan to do that here.
All right.
And just to add to that, with the prevalence of fentanyl on the street, there really isn't a safe way to inject fentanyl. It is a uniquely dangerous drug. And so, our goal is to get people into the proper services where they're getting actually, FDA approved medication to prevent them from using illicit substances.
Well, and I think one part of that's important is to understand why people use. I think there's a common misconception around fentanyl that people use fentanyl because they want to get high, and they're searching out a stronger high. But most people who use opiates at this point are just using to make their withdrawals go away. Withdrawals feel terrible. They make you feel like you're going to die. And with fentanyl, it wears off about 10 times a day. So about 10 times a day, you feel like you're going to die. And so you go find some more fentanyl, but every time you use it, you could die. And so that's a space where treatment can be incredibly helpful, because we have way better medications that are not going to kill you and can take away your withdrawals for the whole day and for days going forward. And that's really where we have a lot of success, is people don't want to use anymore. They just don't want to feel terrible, and they don't know how to get into the treatment that exists.
The fentanyl crisis, it's reared its ugly head here. I'm assuming, just from what you just said there, this is the reality of life on the street right now.
Yeah. Fentanyl came to our community really in the last 2 years. It came to the East Coast several years before then. It's been moving west, and really just about 2 years ago it got here. And it's really removed all other opiates from the space. There really just isn't heroin anymore. Of my patients who come to see me to get sober, most of them say they actually would prefer to be back on heroin. They don't want to use fentanyl. It's just the only option they have, and they're scared of it. They don't want to die. Many of them have seen people die in front of them. And so we just have to help them access better ways to take care of their mental health, treat their trauma in evidence-based ways, and get them access to medication to make their withdrawals go away, and then they can do really quite well.
You're finding most of these folks have gotten addicted basically to this because they were on a painkiller to begin with, something like that. I don't know of many people that set out to get on this.
No one wakes up and says, you know what I'd like to do today is shoot some fentanyl. That's just not how it works. The vast majority of my patients got addicted on prescription pills. Many of them because they had an injury, very valid injury, but they got too large of a script for too long, and then they got hooked. Or some folks took pills that they found in someone else's cabinet. So that's where young people usually get hooked, is on the prescription pills for their parents or family members, and they don't realize how addictive it is, and that's how they can get on that way.
Oh, go ahead.
Thankfully, one good news item is that rates of opiate use among youth in our community is actually downtrending. We are seeing less and less opiate use among the kids. And so I think there's this common misconception that because there's fentanyl, it's everyone's using it or people are trying to sell it to kids. And that's not really what we're seeing. We're seeing less and less use among kids, but those who were already using now have switched to this incredibly dangerous drug, and we're losing them more frequently.
Opening for, what's the timeline to get the center open?
So sometime this fall, we're thinking we're probably September, October is really what we're looking at for when we can get up and running. But we're still offering services out of the health department right now on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Okay. One last note, COVID. It's not gone away. We're reading some headlines, a bit of an uptick across the country, even in our state, too. Your thoughts as we head into this? And I can't even keep track of the variant we're on now. It's Epsilon or something.
It's still
with
an Omicron variant.
Right.
But we are starting to see an uptick in COVID-19 cases. And you might even hear that in your friend group that people,
I've had a few,
You know some folks who got COVID recently. Thankfully, we are not seeing the level of severe disease that we used to see. We have so much built up population immunity from vaccination and often some degree of infection in the last couple of years that we're not expecting the kind of severe disease surge that used to shut down our hospitals a couple of years ago. That said, there are still people who are at high risk. So people over the age of 65, people with underlying conditions or immunosuppression, and actually little babies. So babies under the age of 6 months aren't eligible for a vaccine yet, and they've never seen COVID before because they weren't here in the last couple of years, and so they can get quite ill as well. So doing what you can to protect your family, which includes getting the updated booster when it comes out this fall, is really important. And being particularly thoughtful about not visiting folks when you're sick, especially in those high-risk groups, and considering masking up when you do. We also expect flu and RSV to come back this fall. And so we're likely to get hit with 3 viruses sometime this fall. What is hopeful for me, though, is we have new tools available. So we're going to get an updated booster for COVID. We're going to have a flu vaccine. And for the first time, we have an RSV vaccine as well for people 60 and up. People often don't know that RSV can be quite serious for people over 60 and for young babies. And we have a vaccine now available for both of them coming up this fall. And we encourage everyone who's in those high-risk groups, so newborn babies and people over 60, to access that vaccine so that we don't see the kind of severe surge that we saw last year.
And a lot of what we always had done before. Don't go around people if you're feeling sick. Stay home. Wash your hands a lot. Just be cognizant, right?
Absolutely. And if you have to go out and you're sick, that'd be a time to consider putting a mask on so that you don't spread your illness to others. And particularly if you're meeting up with newborn babies, if someone in your life has a baby, you want to see that baby, but make sure that you're well.
Yeah. Very good advice. All right. Dr. Barry, great to have you.
Allison's
good to see you again. I'm glad we're talking outside of a pandemic for the first time in a while. And Mike French, thanks for stopping by as well. Appreciate it. And that's Mike French from the County Commissioner's Office. And, of course, Dr. Barry's our health officer here. We're going to take a break, and we'll be back with more in just a moment.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on Newsradio KONP.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg salutes our military veterans, active duty, and first responders each and every day. This isn't a special or a one-time deal. 365 days a year, Red Carpet offers 10% off all services to this special group. Please let them know who you are so they can honor you. And for Purple Heart recipients, you'll receive a free wash anytime, every day. Please accept our appreciation for your service and sacrifice. Red Carpet Car Wash, open Monday through Sunday, 8 till 5.
Save money and find everything the country needs during Farm and Ranch Days at Coastal.
Coastal Farm and Ranch, we're just what the country needs.
Coastal Farm and Ranch Days are going strong. Right now, save $100 on a Black Diamond 6,800-watt generator and 20% off all Balin wire-filled gates. You'll save big at Coastal, including motor oil and hitch mounts, pet food and toys, fencing, and DeWalt power tools. Plus, save up to $300 on Husqvarna riding mowers and up to $500 off their zero-turn models. Sign up to win a 2023 Honda Rancher ATV during the Coastal 60th Anniversary Celebration, sponsored in part by Carhartt, Ariat, and Browning. Stop by or sign up to win at coastalcountry.com.
Coastal Farm and Ranch, we're just what the country needs.
Serving Clallam County from Bell Creek Plaza in Sequim.
Welcome to Sherwood Forest. Olympic Theater Arts Young Thespians are proud to present The Somewhat True Tale of Robin Hood, running August 4th through 13th. It's sure hard to be humble when you're a swashbuckling, egocentric superhero. But our gallant guy in green tries his best as he swaggers through The Somewhat True Tale of Robin Hood, a frantically funny, Monty Python-esque retelling of the classic. Join an emotional, self-loving Robin,
Lady Marian is lost to me forever.
a strong, independent Marion,
The king will hear of your deeds.
and the hysterically evil Prince John.
Oh, I love me.
This time around, the legendary hero, in his never-ending quest to aid the needy, encounters such an eclectic cast of characters that you've got an irreverent jaunt through Sherwood Forest you won't soon forget. All of this is brought to you by the Young Thespians of Olympic Theater Arts, August 4th through 13th. Tickets are on sale now.
Red Carpet Car Wash in Carlsberg salutes our military veterans, active duty, and first responders each and every day. This isn't a special or a one-time deal. 365 days a year, Red Carpet offers 10% off all services to this special group. Please let them know who you are so they can honor you. And for Purple Heart recipients, you'll receive a free wash anytime, every day. Please accept our appreciation for your service and sacrifice. Red Carpet Car Wash, open Monday through Sunday, 8 till 5.
Don't waste your money on fake, stale, rancid, or substandard olive oils. At Foghorn Olive Oil Tasting Room, our olives are picked green off the trees and processed in 2 to 4 hours and are full of antioxidants. Enhance your fresh fruits, vegetables, and proteins with our healthy and delicious olive oils, always fresh and never, ever cut with unhealthy fake oils for profit. Foghorn Olive Oil Company, open 11 to 4, Wednesday through Saturday.
Hey, this is Todd Ortloff inviting you to join me Saturday as we broadcast live from the Unity of Effort Community Concert and Picnic at Security Service Northwest Headquarters in Sequim. Come out and enjoy a barbecue from the Noon Rotary in Sequim, kids activities and live performances. Come meet local first responders. The FBI, Washington State Fish and Wildlife will have a display, tour some equipment, even an aircraft fly-in. We're saying thank you to all our first responders and broadcasting live this Saturday at the Unity of Effort event in Sequim. Come see us.
Get ready for the automotive extravaganza of the year. The 6th annual Sequim Prairie Nights Car Show and Shine rolls into town August 12th. Washington Street will transform into classic car headquarters from 9 a.m. to 3, featuring a jaw-dropping array of hot rods, roadsters, trucks, and coupes that will leave you in awe. Step into a world of fine auto engineering as you get up close to these magnificent machines. Don't miss the chance to see Sequim's own Bonneville record-holding 100cc motorcycle, fresh from this year's speed record attempt right before your very eyes. But it's not just about the cars, it's about making a difference too. Your participation supports scholarships for Sequim and Port Angeles High School graduates in auto, construction, and computer trades, with students receiving $1,000 each to further their education. Mark your calendars and bring the whole family for this unforgettable free event. Learn more at SquimPrairieNights.com. Presented in part by KZQM and KONP.
What's better than new school clothes and new school supplies? New school clothes and supplies from Swain's General Store. Right now, during the back-to-school sale, you'll see 20% off savings on all backpacks in stock. Men's, women's, and kids' Skechers, young men's name-brand apparel, and men's Levi's, too. Even socks are on sale. Get high-quality Wigwam socks and save up to $6 a pair. Get the kids what they want this year because Swain's has everything. Going on now through August 23rd.
Welcome back to the program. It is Thursday, the last segment always dedicated to our business bits with our business guru, Kevin Holt, who's your business coach. Oh, and by the way, Kevin, yourbusinesscoach.com. Imagine that. That's how we...
yes, I'm so dedicated.
Weave this all together. Yes. Anyway, so
that's
Kevin,
our anchor.
Good to have you back again on Thursday. We're gonna first of all, you want to follow up on last week's scams.
I do.
You have some new info for us.
We're going to put together a whole collection here. I was having a little fun at Todd's expense. I said, the last few days of July and the first few days of August are the dog days of summer. And in England, a dog's breakfast is a term for an unrelated collection of things. So this is Dog Days Dog's Breakfast for our radio show today.
Like it. Yep.
And yes, we'll start with last week's suspicious bill. I had a bill come across my desk asking me to pay $289 for something called an annual website domain listing. And when I looked into it further, I found that the service was going to be listing me on a web directory or some useless thing. So I just threw it away. But then I thought, this is sad because there may be people who don't know this is malarkey. So I pulled it back out of the garbage and I said, I'm going to look into this. So we talked about it a little bit last week in terms of just don't do it. When you see these weird letters come across your desk or come in the email, it says, hey, this and that, your domain registrar will take care of it. Don't worry. They've either already got your credit card and they're going to bill you automatically, or they'll send you an email saying, hey, we've got a business relationship. Let's keep it going. And oh, by the way, domain registration is $10 to maybe $35 if you've got an email plan. It's never $289. So I started looking around and I thought, what is this directory they're listing me in? And I found it. I found their premium listing service directory, which is focused on ranking verified listings for businesses higher on Google. Other than horrible composition, I don't even know what that means. So as I look through this, I see this little listing of businesses that are clearly businesses who don't read their mail. Mm-hmm. And it's really just a smattering of businesses, but from all across the country. And so I thought, I hope they didn't get anybody in our town. But unfortunately, when I did a search, there were 13 businesses in Port Angeles and 15 in Sequim who wrote a check for $289 to get what is basically the same thing as a listing on a Chamber of Commerce business directory, without the benefits of the Chamber of Commerce.
Right. You pay less for your fee, your dues in the chamber and get more.
You'll pay much less. You'll pay much, much more. Mark, Beth, and Lissy will take good care of you. You'll get yourself a personal business network right here locally. And so, again, look out for these scams that try to tell you you're missing out on something, a fear of missing out, and collectively, we lost $9,000 to this scam in our county this year. So let's focus and let's not make a big mistake and send money to people who aren't going to do anything for it.
Wow.
Then we have the return of the zombies. Very briefly, last week I shared information about attempts to collect a zombie debt or a debt that's too old for collection action. The same company sent a zombie debt notice to someone who lived at my old address is the same company that turned around and just tried to take a woman to court for a credit card debt that was incurred in her name when she was 12. Now, that's 6 years before you can even apply for a credit card. Now, it's either juvenile identity theft, which is a terrible problem, and usually committed by family members, I'm sorry to say. Little Billy or Jeannie gets 18 and they apply for a credit card and they get a letter that says, your credit's trash, man. You've got debts all over the place. And they're like, I just turned 18. What happened? Or if you're Bill Smith or John Jones, it could be a clerical error for a common name. But the collection agency claimed ignorance and they went to court anyway. And the judge just looked at them over her glasses and said, case dismissed, guys.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of zombies, last time we talked about zombie contract clauses. And this is a topic on something called a non-disparagement clause in a service contract. These are really gross. These clauses provide for monetary penalties against consumers just for posting a negative review. Now, you can never post a false negative review, but these clauses penalize you for posting an honest negative review. So if that sounds unfair, the federal government agrees with you. These clauses have actually been federally prohibited by the Consumer Review Fairness Act since 2017.
Okay.
So why are we still seeing these clauses?
Right. Why, Kevin? Why?
As it turns out, in part, it's because self-appointed experts are still recommending non-disparagement clauses on their websites. They're saying things like, in an age when an unhappy client can use social media to reach thousands of people, a non-disparagement clause could be the answer. Now, I guess it's the answer to doing something illegal, but this is revealing a mindset. Accountants call these businesses sharp practices. And what it means is it's not illegal, but it certainly doesn't benefit everyone. So another site said, hey, it's important to point this out to a customer, to intimidate them out of posting a negative review, to intimidate less advised signatories. So if you're that worried about a negative review that you're going to put an illegal clause in your contract, put a legal clause in your contract. And I have a business suggestion. Now, first of all, we talked about how to fix negative reviews in our Be a Negative Review Neutralizer story, and you can find all that in the show notes and the whole show on kevinyourbusinesscoach.com. But if you still want to put something in your contracts, and online sellers do this all the time, you'll order something, you'll get a confirmation, and what does it say down at the bottom? Hey, if you're not satisfied, why don't you give us a call? Let us get a chance to solve the problem before you post anything. And eBay sellers have been doing this for a long time. You know, contact us. Do not post that dreaded negative experience on eBay because you can't take those off. Even eBay won't take them off. So the idea is to get ahead of it. So if you want to put something in your contract, go to your attorney and say, hey, I'd like to have something that says, hey, let's have a 30-day period where you agree not to post anything unless you talk to me and give me a few days to work it out. The attorney will tell us how to do that legally, but the idea is let's create some boundaries. Let's also realign those expectations of saying, hey, you might not be satisfied. I'm not perfect. And if you're not, let's us discuss it first.
I'm thinking as a consumer, too. I like to see that because that means this dude gives a rip about me being happy.
He wants to hear, he wants to respond, and so this sounds like a much more workable relationship than you made me mad, I'm going to make you mad, and now we're both mad.
We're at war now.
We win.
Okay.
In the show notes, I've posted some additional information on the Consumer Review Fairness Act, also some information on some FTC activities in that regard, because they will bring action against very big companies who use these contracts routinely. No, the Federal Trade Commission, the State Attorney General's Consumer Protection Office, they don't take action for individuals. But what they do is they look for patterns of abuse. And that's what they want to jump in on, is to stop those patterns of abuse. So you can read up on that. So, we all remember that show, Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Well, we have a new show. It's not on TV, but I ask, are you smarter than a 500-year-old industry? So, a lot of Washingtonians seem to think that they are smarter than the 500-year-old U.S. insurance industry. 500 years, yes, we've been paying premiums here since the early 1700s. And we've talked before about the clever folks who try to buy car insurance online after an accident. That doesn't work out. Car insurance companies have ways of checking on things. And then people do really smart things, like sending in a picture of their car damage that has all the metadata that shows that the damage happened weeks ago, and they just bought the insurance yesterday. So that's darn poor planning. The insurance commissioner calls that a crime. It's insurance fraud. And another bad habit that just came across my desk in the insurance commissioner's reporting is the greedy comebacker. Now, these are fraudsters that file false claims for losses on personal property, and they do it with multiple insurance carriers. They liked it once, they love it twice. So they purchase a policy, and as soon as they get the paperwork, they file a claim. Usually fraudulent, often about the theft of personal property. Now, because people are doing this, a lot of insurance policies have a theft deductible of like $200 to $500. That doesn't stop these folks. They bump it up. They make claims for $20,000. In fact, the insurance commissioner's office just issued an arrest warrant for a nice guy on the east side who filed claims for $20,000 worth of scuba gear that was allegedly stolen from his car. Now, he submitted the receipts for the gear he purchased. He submitted the police report. He gave the dollar amount. The problem is, this is the third insurance company he's used those same receipts,
the
same police report,
right? Yeah,
just photocopies, not carbon copies. They're photocopies, and again, do you think maybe the insurance industry has maybe a master claims database, so that they might be able to check and see if this claim's been paid before? Yeah, so this doesn't turn out well either. And the big problem is that these insurance fraud crimes cost all of us in Washington State between $500 and $1,000 per year more in increased premiums.
Right, because as they have to deal with those, they're going to pass that cost along to you.
That's right. There's a thing called an insurance actuary, and the only thing they do is set premiums based on the payouts they made. So more payouts, more premiums. The insurance commissioner's office has a criminal investigations unit, and the insurance industry is required to notify them if they detect a fraud. They also notify them anyway voluntarily when they have things like this go on. So again, if you suspect insurance fraud, you really should report it. Help us save some money.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a link in the show notes about where you can go on the insurance commissioner's website to do that very thing. But again, it never works out for the perpetrators, and it costs us all a bunch of money. So we don't really need that anymore. Now, there's been a lot of talk about these retail organized theft rings and organized retail shoplifting, and what a terrible, terrible thing this is. What's interesting to me is when I was in graduate school in 1999, there was a big organized retail theft ring in the Portland area. In fact, it's quite a story. It all started with an eBay store. There was a gentleman in Portland who was selling consumer health and beauty aids to customers in Eastern Europe through eBay. And he was doing real well. And it turned out one of the reasons he was doing real well is that he hired meth heads to go into Portland stores and steal all the goods that he sold.
Very low cost, low overhead. There.
Low inventory cost. That's right.
Yeah. Wow.
And this was so widespread that there were undercover police officers involved, and they posed as potential thieves, and then they worked their way back up. When they finally arrested this guy, they said his garage looked like a warehouse with like barcodes and slotted shelving and everything, and he was doing something like $300,000 a month. To me, the first thing that says is there's a tremendous opportunity exporting consumer goods to different parts of the country through systems like eBay, because people like our stuff. You know, I talk about this over and over again with exporting. People like to buy goods.
You could do this legitimately.
Yes, you wouldn't make quite as much money, but the international consumer is interested in buying goods from a country that has a Consumer Product Safety Commission and a Federal Trade Commission and things like that, because not everybody does.
They don't have them in their countries.
That's right. And so this is an opportunity, but it's really good that you pay for your inventory. Nevertheless, the suspicion right now is that all of these claims of the shrinking profits due to organized retail theft may be cover. There was an article in CNBC and another one in Forbes just this week that says basically, are organized retail theft rings really creating the financial losses that these big box retailers are reporting? In fact, one stock watcher even said that there's a bit of bandwagoning going on, and that they are calling shoplifting an aspirin for the headache of lower profits, and this might be malpractice.
Oh, really? Well, okay. So
it turns out the real culprits might be internal problems that these big businesses don't want their investors to know about. Things like more pressure from online sales as shoppers continue the new buying habits they learned during the pandemic. A lot of people, for example, started buying groceries online, and they're still doing it. And that's impacting grocers. A lot of people started buying clothing and shoes online because they didn't want to go to the store and try it on, didn't want to get sick. So all of this is taking customers out of the stores. Also, staffing shortages led to what my parochial school teacher would call injudicious hires, putting people in the store that shouldn't be there. And that's causing some to suspect a surge in internal theft. Now, historically, internal theft outpaces shoplifting 3-1 because they're all alone with the merchandise.
Here I am in the warehouse. It'd be easy for me to just take a couple of things out of here.
And talk about organized theft. They can grab 20 items.
True.
When a shoplifter may have to only take 2 or 3 at a time. Yeah. Very famous HR story about a gentleman who was taking new products and putting them in the garbage and then coming to the dumpster after hours and taking it out. He hired an attorney who pointed out that the HR booklet didn't say you couldn't put new merchandise in the trash. And so they had to give him his job back. But nevertheless, this serious challenge that these big box stores don't want you to know about are things like their inventory management, where they're doing steep discounting to get this stuff off the shelves. They've got bloated inventories that are tying up liquidity. And so rather than address these issues, they're going to point the finger at retail theft. Is retail theft a problem? Yeah, it's a big problem. But it might not be the problem we've been told.
It sounds way better to say someone's going into my store and stealing.
Those other guys.
Yeah,
it's not us.
Yeah.
And then finally, I think we have time for AI in your mailbox. So artificial intelligence, we've heard about everyone from romance writers to mortgage brokers using ChatGPT to make their jobs easier. And the latest group to adopt this technology, identity thieves. Email scammers send fake emails to trick you into giving up passwords and other security information, and these criminals are using ChatGPT to sharpen their messages. Long gone are the misplaced modifiers and the malformed plurals and all those telltale signs that this is an email from a Nigerian coffee shop. So now the scammers can turn out an infinite number of highly polished, personalized phishing emails with the click of a mouse. So what are you going to do? Well, the good news is you already know what to do because you do it with your cell phone. If you don't recognize that number, you don't pick up.
Right.
If you don't recognize the sender, don't click the email. Just don't. Let it go. If it's from a company you think you recognize, leave the email alone, log into your company dashboard and see if they've sent you any messages, because let me tell you, that's where they're going to do it. If there's no messages there, click delete and get away from it, because with some of the technology we have now, they will actually infect you just from opening the email. So leave it alone.
Exactly right. So, all right. Oh, the world we live in.
It's not a nice place.
It's not. And we thought we could escape it by just hunkering down in our house.
Yeah, well, next week, speaking of that, next week I'll give you location, disaster. We will review all the trouble my clients get into when signing a business lease.
Ooh.
And I'll tell you the single business mistake people make. And then I'll give you Kevin's 7 secrets of business leasing.
Excellent. Kevin, always
Thank
great
you.
to have you. We'll have him back again next Thursday here on the program. That's going to do it for our show today. And we'll check in with the ABC News coming up next.
Fall Fest in Extreme Sports Park presents the annual Northwest Beer Fest 2023. Mark your calendars for August 25th and 26th. Northwest Beer Fest is a 2-day event chock full of live music, food vendors, a beer garden, whiskey wagon, axe throwing, mechanical bull riding, festive games, and tastings from over 15 different breweries, wineries, cideries, and craft cocktail vendors.